Hey everybody, Tim and Julie here for a very drunk nerd video, because oh my god. Dune 2000. So Julie and I, as I said before, glutton for punishment, watching all the Dune movies, getting ready for the new one. So the first movie, which came out in 1984 by David Lynch, I kind of use that as the baseline. Like, we didn't talk a whole lot about stuff. We just kind of talked about the movie. A little over 2 hours. So this is the next Dune movie that came out, or Dune interpretation, I guess. Came out in the year 2000 from Sci-Fi, a Sci-Fi original movie. A little over 4 hours long, about 4.5 hours long. So twice what the first movie was. And oh my god, did it feel like it. So using the first Dune movie as the baseline, I don't know. There's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start. I guess overall, like 4.5 hours. What'd you think?
I like this one a whole lot better than
Did
I
you?
did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
I like the original more. So okay. So why? What about it? What did you like more?
The characters, it just seemed like it was. I don't know. It just drug me in better than the first one.
Okay. So I kind of forgot to bring it up because I had so many notes. In the first movie, it's almost comical how bad it is, where like all of their inner dialogue is in the movie. Whereas in this, they actually do a good job of showing rather than telling.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, so this is broken up into 3 parts. I would say the first part is actually very, very similar to the first movie, where we see things like the Reverend Mother using the voice, which is almost the same, like where they like just make their voice a lot deeper.
Right.
The whole box of pain thing, where she keeps the needle to his neck.
But it didn't seem in this one. It seemed like he wasn't in as much pain as the first one.
I do agree. I agree with that a lot. And it was very quick. Like, it was in and out. Whereas in the first one, yeah, he acted like his hand was being chopped off. So I do agree with that. Which is actually what I like more of the first one. The first one's like, he's like in intense pain. Because they both have the exact same line, where it's like, nobody's ever withstood this much pain. And in the first movie, you're like, I completely agree. And in this one, you're like, did he even go through pain?
Yeah,
like, what happened?
Fair. Yeah, fair.
We see them fighting with the shields, which in the first movie is very, very boxy. And then in this, it's much more skin tight. So we get that. The navigators, the creatures that they use to teleport, are very different. In the first movie, I don't know, it's almost like giant worms, and in this one, they actually kind of have faces and stuff. It was, and you also only see them in that one scene, whereas in the first movie, you see them over and over and over again. The first movie has a lot of actors, like Kyle MacLachlan and Patrick Stewart, and just a lot of people. This one, realistically, to me, the only nameable actor off the top of my head is William Hurt, like the actor that plays Duke Leto, because I've seen William Hurt in tons of stuff over the years. And yeah, like everybody, I don't know if it's because it was more low budget for sci-fi, but did any of the actors stand out to you that you were like, oh, I know who that is?
No, not really. I just, the actors that were there, I thought did an amazing job.
And I do agree with that.
None of them stood out as, oh, that's
like
so and
name
so.
Actor.
No.
Okay. No, I do agree. Everybody did a good job. Like I said, we see the harvester scene where Duke saves everybody. Like I said, the first part was very, very similar to the first movie. Something that bothered me, so I have read the book. It's just been many, many years. In the first movie, Paul gets his name, Muad'Dib, and he asks, in the first movie, he's like, what is the name of that moon, or the crater in the moon? And they're like, oh, that crater's Muad'Dib. And that's where he gets his name.
Right.
Now, in this, when the Atreides first get to the planet, everybody's yelling Muad'Dib, and William Hurt, like Duke Duke Leto says, like, what is that? And they're like, oh, that means Messiah. I was like, okay. But then later on in part 2, Paul says, hey, what's the name of that little mouse that jumps around? And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's Muad'Dib. I was like, wait, does it mean Messiah or does it mean little mouse?
Right.
Like that really bothered me. That seemed like, because I'm assuming from the book, it's whatever he chose, like the moon or the mouse or whatever. But they like forced it in for this show. So I was like, that was an inconsistency that really bothered me.
But the mouse was so cute, though.
It was a cute mouse. We get a lot of, like I said, a lot of the similar things where Fear is the mind killer. I must have Fear. Fear is the mind killer. Dr. Yui sabotaging Leto, but giving him the fake tooth. So I feel like I said, so if we're using the first Dune as the baseline, looking at all the other Dune movies, like these are the things that I'm like, this is a concrete Dune thing. And that's the first part. Like that's just the first part. And look at that, we're like 7 minutes into this video. For me, the second part was the longest. Because it was just Paul and Jessica living among the Freemen. Which, granted, in the first movie is they cut that real short.
Right.
But just like them training the Freemen how to fight. Whereas in the first movie, they taught them how to use a gun. Whereas in this movie, they teach them like how to fight.
Yes.
But we see a lot of the same things as like riding the worm and the worm in the water pool. Like that was really drawn out for me. I don't know. I was in and out of this movie. It was so long.
Second part seemed to go on forever.
What I will give this movie, so I'm not ragging on it the whole time, they do expand a lot more. They do explain a lot more stuff. So I've already forgotten. In the first movie, I don't think they really talk about where spice comes from.
Right.
Whereas in this, they literally say spice is the worm. It's the worms that have like disintegrated. Almost like we use like fossil fuels and stuff like that. Like that's what the spice is. So I did like how they kind of expanded on that a little bit.
Like I said, this movie to me, so far out of the ones we're gonna see, is about the best. I mean, I liked it.
Good.
Even though it went on and on, but yeah, I liked it. But like I said, I liked the characters, Paul, his mom, his sister.
Who was less creepy in this one. Like, she was
Yeah,
weird.
But she wasn't creepy.
Like, the first movie, she was, like demonic. Like, where she's little, but it's, like, clearly they dubbed over her with, like, an adult voice. And she's like, I am the sister! And you're like, what is this? Whereas this is actually, like, it's a little girl actress.
Yeah.
So I did think they did a better job with the little girl.
And then his wife. It was sad that they lost their son because somebody...
Which is nowhere in the first movie.
Nowhere, no.
Like, they didn't have a kid or anything. So, the fact that...
You see the kid sitting on the floor and...
He just knows his child's dead. But he did the same thing with his dad. Like, he just knew his father dead. Like, it was like a premonition.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, the first movie they didn't have a kid. The kid didn't die. Like, there was nothing.
No.
And so I was like, oh my God. Like, that's... Like I said, I've read the book. I don't remember if that's in the book or not. I don't know. Which in the same thing, I do kind of remember in the book, we learn that the Baron is actually Paul's grandfather. Like the creepy fat guy, which is he's not as bad as he was in the first. In the first movie, he had boils and stuff like that. In this movie, he's just kind of fat and lazy.
Yes.
But he is Jessica's father, which we didn't learn that in the first movie.
No.
And so I was like, okay, so we see so it's the Baron, and then Jessica, and then Paul, and then Paul's son. Like, there's a family. Like, this is why I've had trouble with the books, because the books are like that, where it's like you got like 4 generations right there, and I'm like, I can't keep track of this many people. You gotta stop. We see the Emperor a lot more in this. Like, I think he's briefly in the first movie, but he's more talked about. Like, the Emperor is in control of everything, and like he's kind of secretly behind the Duke being assassinated. Whereas in this, like, the Emperor is in it quite a bit, as well as his daughter, who's in love with Paul. But that kind of wrapped it up, though. Like, right there at the end, like, we see the sister kill the Baron. So she kills her own grandfather.
Right.
And then, like, I kind of complained about it in our first video, where, like, the first movie just, like, Paul attacks, there's rain, and it cuts. Because his sister's like, he is the Kazarak, or whatever the word is. And then it just, boom, right to credits. Whereas this, you see the attack, the sister kills the Baron, and then you kind of see Arrakis turn green, like there's grass, and then so it's a little bit longer, but it is a more drawn out ending, which I did like. I thought it did come around a lot more.
Yes, that Arrakis is gonna survive and be a whole lot better for the whole people.
Right. So, I mean, I guess we already said it. Like, using the first movie as a baseline. So you like this movie a lot more.
Right.
I don't know, I'm kind of in between. I do like the first. I would say I probably like the first movie more, only because it's half the length. But I do like parts that this movie expanded upon. Like, I kind of wish we could kind of combine, like, pick and choose.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we still got 2 more to watch. So.
Well, like, everybody, you know, all the people, how do I want to say it? I don't know. They fought with Paul for him.
Right.
And, you know, it seemed like, I don't know, they all worked together to get rid of the bad.
Right.
And, you know, it seemed like, you know, and it seemed like, you know, yeah, there was a couple in there that, you know, that were probably like spies from the, you know, the other group, but yeah, this one I really liked.
Well, I think that kind of goes back to, like from part 1, where they go to the crawler and they see the worms attacking, and the Duke saves everybody and goes back, and then the one guy's like, you know, everybody else would have just left everybody to die to save the spice, but the Duke saved the people.
Right.
And he says, like, that can inspire, like, fanaticism. So it kind of shows, like, the Duke and then Paul, his descendant, like, care about the people more than anything else.
Right.
So, and I mean, that's good leadership qualities. That's what people will follow.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's the difference between a leader and a boss. Any other thoughts or anything that bothered you, or questions you had from the first movie, the second movie, or any other closing thoughts in general? No. So we watched the same. We watched the Lynch movie, the David Lynch movie, which was a little over 2 hours, and now we've seen the sci-fi movie, which is a little over 4 hours. So we watched the shortest version, and we've watched the longest version. So are you ready to watch the exact same movie 2 more times?
Yeah.
Oh, so much Dune. Okay. Closing thoughts? No. Oh, okay. So for those who have seen the sci-fi original series of Dune, as of right now, I don't think we're going to watch the sequel. Who knows? We might come around to it eventually, but it's unnecessary right now. For those who have seen Dune, go ahead and let us know what you guys think about this one specifically. Thank you guys for watching and subscribing, and we will see you guys next time.